All right. Welcome everyone to the 2056 National Championship game between the number 4 UCLA Bruins and the number 2 Ohio State Buckeyes. It's been a long, tough season for both of them. They've played some quality opponents. UCLA coming off a Rose Bowl victory over the number 1 seeded Notre Dame. Big win there for the Bruins, and Ohio State coming off a tight win against number 3 Navy from the Conference USA. Some would say the Conference USA is the best conference. Not many, but some. Of these teams, high scoring offenses, great defense, especially UCLA. UCLA's defense has been elite, if nothing else, this season. They're led by defensive back Stephen Moore, corner with 8 interceptions, surely a finalist for the best DB. Ohio State led on offense by Landon Miller, Heisman candidate for the end of the year, as well as freshman running back Goddard Smith. I'm gonna go with that, who has been a stud this year in his first season with the Buckeyes. But with that out of the way, actually, we should start with some injuries. For Ohio State, they're mostly missing backups. Michael Day, starting wide receiver, is injured for the Buckeyes, so they will be down him. But as for everyone else, mostly just backups. Most notably, Robert Griffin V, out for 29 weeks. UCLA, much healthier, only missing depth defensive lineman Rashad Brewer. This is the first appearance for both of these coaches, both Coach Rich and Amok. I haven't said your name out loud before, but we'll go with one of those. However, this is not the first appearance for either of these schools. Oh, it's a redshirt. Got it. Well, UCLA national championship in 2054, last under Coach Secret, and Ohio State's last appearance was in 2041 under a coach that I do not want to name. So, with that now all out of the way, I'd say we should probably get this started. UCLA wins the opening coin toss and defers to the second half. Ohio State will get the ball first. Devin Dziak, we'll go with Dziak, kicks it off, and Ohio State's Jared Wiggs returns it out to the 30-yard line after a 27-yard kick return, and we are officially underway here on the first drive of the national championship game. Landon Miller, first play, chucks it to Goddard Smith, who is running out in the flat, and it falls harmlessly to the ground as Smith to it, and that'll bring up 2nd and 10 here on the first. On 2nd and 10, Landon Miller will give it to Goddard Smith, this time in the backfield for a handoff. Goddard Smith finds a small hole, picks up 5 yards, and they'll bring up 3rd and about a decent 5 yards at the Ohio State 35-yard line. Miller will give it to Smith again, and he cuts back inside after initial, but he's not quite able to pick up the first down as he only gets 3 yards, and that will force an Ohio State punt on 4th and 2. Buford will punt the ball away for 53 yards. Myers Ginty, the return man for UCLA, he gets a couple of yards here on the return, just about 8. However, there is a hole on Tyler Barnes for the Bruins, which will move them back an extra 10 yards, and UCLA will start their first possession at their own 7-yard line. Not exactly ideal field position here if you're the Bruins. Trayvon Hampton, the starting quarterback for the Bruins, will drop back to pass on 1st and 10, looking for Donovan Davidson at the sticks, and that is an incomplete pass on 1st and 10. UCLA not afraid of the shadow of their own end zone here. Instead of opting to run the ball to maybe get some breathing room, they decide to throw it. On 2nd and 10, Hampton will drop back to pass again, looking for Christopher Leota this time, but that is also incomplete as it falls to the ground harmlessly, and that'll bring up 3rd and long, and now UCLA will opt to run the football, classic ZenGM halfback draw on 3rd and 10. Quarterback draw, I guess, in this case. Trayvon Hampton will pick up 2 yards here as UCLA gets a minuscule amount of room for their punter, Chris Culpepper, who punts the ball away 54 yards to Jared Wiggs, the return man for Ohio State. He returns this one about 15 yards. He gets some space here. However, there is an illegal block in the back that created that space for him, and that will be base entire return plus a few more yards. It's from the spot of the foul, so they will start at their own 30-yard line once again. First and 10 from their own 30-yard line. Landon Miller drops back to pass. He's looking deep for Ryan Williams on the sideline, and he drops it in the bucket for a first down. Big play of our game here is a 30-yard pass from Landon Miller to Ryan Williams, and Ohio State quickly moves into UCLA territory as they pull up on first and 10 at the UCLA 40-yard line. On first and 10 from the UCLA 40, Landon Miller will hand it off to Larry Davis, who picks up 5 yards on a nice little carry. On second and 5, Landon Miller will drop back to pass once again. He looks over the middle for Rakeem Swanson, and he hauls it in and goes down after a 15-yard pickup, moving UCLA into the red zone. Moving Ohio State into UCLA's red zone, bringing up first and 10. On that first and 10 play, Landon Miller will hand the ball off to Larry Davis, who picks up 3. And on that subsequent second and 7, Landon Miller will throw it to Larry Davis this time for 4 yards, picking them up just short of the first down, bringing up third and short. And Landon Miller will hand the ball off to Goddard Smith. Is stuffed at the line of scrimmage. UCLA pushes him back, but forward progress just got him back to the line of scrimmage. So he will pick up 0 there, and Ohio State will settle for a 30-yard field goal from Vincent Rollins, and the snap is good, the hold is good, and the kick is good. And so with 9 minutes in the first quarter, we have our first points of the national championship game. Ohio State takes a 3-0 lead over the Bruins, and will kick it off here. Rollins kicks it into the back of the end zone for a touchback, meaning UCLA will take over at their own 25-yard line. Much better field position than their last drive. Hampton starts off the drive with a handoff to Donovan Davidson, who picks up 6 yards here. Nice little scamper there for Davidson, bringing up 2nd and 4. On 2nd and 4, Trayvon Hampton will look to Tony Smith over the middle, but it is knocked down at the line of scrimmage, bringing up 3rd and 4. Decent distance here. On 3rd and 4, Trayvon Hampton will look to Donovan Davidson on the screen pass, and it is set up beautifully by the UCLA offensive line. Donovan Davidson picks up the first down and a little bit more as he gets 11 here, moving UCLA down to their own 42-yard line. On 1st and 10, they will give it to Christopher Leota. Leota picks up 3, bringing up 2nd and 7. And on 2nd and 7, they'll give it to Donovan Davidson. He picks up 4. So they are on schedule for this sequence here. And on 3rd and 3, they will hand it off to Donovan Davidson once again, and he bursts through the whole pass before he's finally brought down by the safety after a pickup of about 12 yards. Ohio State nearly gave up a touchdown, but thanks to the second-level defenders in the secondary, they were able to stop them. But UCLA now does have the ball on Ohio State's side of the field at their 39, 1st and 10 with about 6 minutes to go in the first quarter. 1st and 10, Trayvon Hampton will look to Rashawn Koo. That is incomplete. It is knocked down by the defensive back on 1st and 10. And on 2nd and 10, he will look to pass again. This time he completes it to Tony Smith on an out route, and he picks up about 18 yards before running out of bounds. On 1st and 10 from the Ohio State 21-yard line, knocking on the door of that red zone, Trayvon Hampton will hand the ball off to Donovan Davidson, and Davidson breaks through for a nice pickup of 15 yards. He's just knocked down short of the goal line, but UCLA has very favorable here. 1st and goal, Trayvon Hampton will drop back to pass. He's looking for Donovan Davidson in the flat, but Trayvon Hampton can't get the throw off, and Sheldon Simpson brings him down after an 11-yard sack, and that is not good if you are a UCLA fan, because they went from having being from the touchdown to now being 17 yards away, and that is much less feasible. And you do not want to settle for a field goal here in the national championship if you absolutely can avoid it. On 2nd and goal from the 17, they will try to get some of those yards back with a Donovan Davidson rush. He picks up 8 yards, making it a much more manageable 3rd and goal from the 9. They will give it to Davidson again. This time Ohio State was ready for it, and he only picks up 2 yards here, and they will be forced to kick the field goal. Devin Desiak from 24 yards out knocks it right down the middle, and we have a tie game here with about 3:27 to go in the first quarter. quarter. 3 Dziak to kick it off, and he sails this one in the back of the end zone. Ohio State will take over at their own 25-yard line with about 3.5 minutes to go in the first quarter. Landon Miller drops back to pass, and he looks for Ryan Williams once again, but that is incomplete. On 2nd and 10, he gives the ball to Goddard Smith, who picks up 3rd and 4. On 3rd and 4, Landon Miller employs a snap count here and is actually able to draw Tyler Barnes offside for UCLA, meaning that Ohio State, instead of running a play, gets a free first down. Thank the UCLA defense there for that one. On 1st and 10 from the yard line now, Miller once again goes to a hard count and draws another UCLA defender offside. So that is another free 5 yards for the Buckeyes, and mental mistakes for UCLA here hampered them quite a bit. Those last 2 plays, not what you want out of your defense in the national championship game, that's for sure. But 1st and 5 from the 41-yard line of Ohio State, the Buckeyes drop back to pass, and Miller finds Larry Davis out of the backfield for about 8 yards, picking up the first down and moving them just to about midfield. On 1st and 10 from their own 49, Landon Miller will keep this one himself on a little design QB power here, but UCLA's linebackers are all over it, and they break through the offensive line and bring him down for a loss of 3, bringing up 2nd and 13 at the Ohio State 46. Miller will drop back Robert Maples, and he's not quite able to get to the first down, but he hauls it in a few yards short for 11 yards, bringing up 3rd and 2 at the UCLA 43-yard line, so they have now moved into enemy territory. Miller will drop back to pass once again, looking for Bobby Robinson on a quick out route, and he makes the catch, tiptoeing down the sideline for a few extra yards as he picks up the first on an 8-yard completion. 1st and 10 from the UCLA 35. This will be your last play of the first quarter if you're keeping track. Landon Miller will hand the ball off to Maples this time, and Maples will pick up 5 yards here, and that will take us to the second quarter, where your score is 3-3. We are currently tied, but Ohio State is moving the ball here, and they are in UCLA territory. First play of the second quarter, it is 2nd and 5 for the Buckeyes on the UCLA 30. Landon Miller will drop back to pass, looking, anyone, and he tries to run, does not get much, but he's just able to stretch the ball across the line of scrimmage for about a yard before being brought down, and I'll bring up 3rd and 4. On 3rd and 4, Landon Miller will hand the ball off this time to Robert Maples, and Robert Maples will pick up the first down, just a little bit more, but just enough on a 6-yard carry to move to UCLA's 23-yard line. 1st and 10 from the 23. There's no result on this play because there are 2 offsetting penalties, meaning that we'll just do it again. So from the UCLA 23-yard line, I might be reading this wrong, but Landon Miller will drop back to pass, and he looks for Larry Davis, and he's open on the sideline, and he makes the catch, and he goes out of bounds after a pickup of 18 yards, meaning Ohio State is knocking on the door of UCLA's goal line. They are 5 yards away from breaking into the end zone. Landon Miller will, from under center, will hand it off to Goddard Smith, who it picks up 2 yards here, and it looks like a player is down after the dog pile. Ohio State, it looks like Anthony Martin, offensive lineman for the Buckeyes, went down on that play. But they will come back out, 2nd and goal from the 3-yard line. Landon Miller will hand it off once again to Goddard Smith, and instead of up the middle, he hands it off to the outside on a little stretch, and Goddard Smith taunts his way into the picks up 3 yards and the touchdown, and Ohio State takes a 10-3 lead here after the extra point with about 14:45 to go in the first half. Rollins will kick it off to the Bruins for a touchback. Hampton will drop back to pass on the first play of the drive for the Bruins, throw an incomplete pass to Tony Smith. On 2nd and 10, Hampton will take it himself for 5 yards, picking up about 5 yards, I guess, down to their own 30, and that'll bring up 3rd and 5. On 3rd and 5, Travion Hampton will drop back to pass, looking for his, what is that? For someone, for Cole Cameron, and that is incomplete on 3rd and 5. And UCLA will be forced to punt from their own 30-yard line. Chris Culpepper gets a nice punt off. It's about 53. Really getting some nice reps in for Mr. Culpepper here. Jared Wiggs returns it only about 4 yards, and Ohio State will take over at their own 21-yard line here in the second quarter. 1st and 10, Landon Miller will drop back to pass. Stands in the pocket for a few. Unable to see anything downfield, he rushes for about 7 yards, getting them closer to the first down here, bringing up 2nd and 3. On 2nd and 3, they will take a deep shot here. Landon Miller winds up for Bobby Robinson, but he is unable to come down with it downfield, and that'll bring up 3rd and 3. On 3rd and 3, Goddard Smith lines up in the backfield with Landon Miller. Landon Miller brings his wide receiver in motion, but Smith jumps before the play, and that'll be a false start on the Buckeyes, meaning a 3rd and 3 is now a 3rd and 8 from their own 23-yard line, and Miller will look to pass here on 3rd and 8, but is unable to find Ryan Williams, and the Buckeyes will be forced to punt. Steve Buford matches Chris Culpepper and does a little bit more as he punts this one away for 56 yards. However, Myers-Jeanty gets a nice return here, gets a little bit of space, picking up 16 yards, meaning UCLA were on 37-yard line. So solid field position here from the Bruins, who look to get that touchdown, that first touchdown on the board here. 1st and 10 from the 37, Hampton will hand it off to Donovan Davidson. Davidson picks yards. Good gain here on 1st down, bringing up 2nd and short. On 2nd and short, Travion Hampton will look to throw it deep to Tony Smith, as you should, on 2nd and short. But it is knocked away by the Buckeyes, and that'll bring up 3rd and very short. And this time they will opt for a handoff, once again to Donovan Davidson. Davidson is stuffed at the line of scrimmage. They're trying to push him over, but Ohio is too strong, and Davidson is stopped a yard short of the 1st down on 4th and 1 from their own 46-yard line. Hampton stays on the field. The Bruins offense will stay on the field. Travion Hampton drops back to pass here on 4th and 1, and he is sacked, and he loses the football. Dean Smith recovers it for the Buckeyes, and he returns it about 11 yards here before being brought down. But a costly decision here by the Bruins coaching staff means Ohio State will have the ball at the UCLA Bruins 30-yard line in great position to score. 1st and 10 after the turnover, Landon Miller will drop back to pass, looking for Bobby Robinson over the middle, but it's knocked down by the linebacker, bringing up 2nd and 10. On 2nd and 10, Landon Miller hands it off to Larry Davis, who picks up 7 down to the 23. And on 3rd and 3, they will hand it off to Larry Davis once again. He picks up nothing. He's absolutely stuffed at the line. There is a flag on the play. It is holding on Ohio State's Noah Coleman, but UCLA will decline the penalty, bringing up 4th and 3 from the 23. And Ohio State will, in fact, settle for the field goal here, learning from the mistakes of UCLA and not wanting to go for it and risk anything. Vincent Rollins lines up for the 40-yard field goal and nails it, making it 13-3 Buckeyes with about 9 minutes to go here in the first half. Bruins, after the touchback, Travion Hampton will hand it off to Donovan Davidson, who picks up 9 yards, just short. And on 2nd and 1, Travion Hampton will look to throw the ball to Tony Smith, but this one does not reach his target, and that'll bring up 3rd and very short here. Should be an easy pickup here for the Bruins. Travion Hampton hands it off to Donovan Davidson right up the gut. Davidson finds a little bit of a crease, not much, but is able to go and about 5 more yards as he picks up 6, and UCLA is at their own 40-yard line. Travion Hampton drops back to pass here on 1st down, looking for Tony Smith on a deep little curl route, and he completes it to Smith, who makes the DB miss after the catch and scampers for about 20, eventually being brought down by the safety. But UCLA driving now on Ohio State's 39-yard line, looking to get a touchdown here. On 1st and 10, Hampton will look to pass again, this time to Donovan Davidson on a little screen, and Davidson picks up the first down after some great blocking and a little bit more as he picks up 19 yards here. And UCLA is officially driving as they entered the Ohio State red zone. With about 6 minutes, they are looking to score here, make it a one-possession game once again. First and 10 from the 20-yard line. Hampton will hand it off to Davidson. Davidson picks up about 6 yards down to the 14. And on 2nd and 4, they will give it to Davidson again, but this time Ohio State is ready for it as they stuff him at the line of scrimmage. He picks up nothing, if that. And that'll bring up 3rd and 4. Travion Hampton will look to his main man, Tony Smith, in the corner of the end zone on a fade route, but it's knocked away by the defensive back and lead to a 4th down Ohio State, or on the Ohio State 14-yard line. UCLA's Devin Desiak will come out onto the field to attempt the 31-yard field goal. It would still cut the game, so it is not an uneducated decision here. Desiak's kick is up and it is good, making the score 13-6 here with 4.5 minutes left in the first quarter. Desiak will kick it off to about the 8-yard line, where Jared Wiggs will get a nice return here as he picks up 23 yards and gives his Buckeyes solid field position at the 31. On 1st and 10 from their own 31-yard line, Landon Miller will drop back to pass, looking for Ryan Williams, and he picks up a little bit here on the little flat route, picking up 4, bringing up 2nd and 6. On 2nd and 6, Bill Brown for the Buckeyes jumps off, moving them back about 5 yards, and furious with the penalty, Coach Rich calls timeout to get his guys in order for this 4-minute drill here, looking to get some points here to extend their lead going into halftime. On 2nd and 11 after the penalty, Landon Miller will hand the ball off to Goddard Smith, on bringing up 3rd and 8 from their own 33-yard line. On 3rd and 8, Landon Miller runs a hard count once again, and someone jumps. There's a flag on the play, but this time it is once again the Buckeyes who are jumping early as Marcel Mouton is called for the false start, and that is accepted by the Bruins. And that will bring up 3rd and 13 now for Ohio State at their own 28-yard line. On 3rd and 13, UCLA playing back at the sticks. Landon Miller drops back to pass. He's looking. He can't find anyone. Great coverage here by the Bruins. And Landon Miller will decide instead to carry this one himself. He initially makes a man miss at the line of scrimmage, but is only able to pick up about 7 yards when he needed 13. So that'll bring up 4th and 6 at the yard line. UCLA lining up for some good field position here. However, a booming punt here by Steve Buford, 68 yards, will ultimately fall for a touchback, but a fantastic display of leg strength by Steve Buford there. But UCLA will take over at their own 20-yard line regardless. Travion Hampton pass. He's looking over the middle for Jordan McGowan. McGowan hauls it in, and McGowan makes a man miss. McGowan's streaking down the sideline. McGowan's going into Ohio State territory before he is finally pushed out at the 35-yard line for a pickup of 45 yards. And a big here towards the end of the half as we approach the 2-minute warning. McGowan just breaks loose past the linebackers and then just beats the safeties, but is eventually caught up to. Not showing great long distance speed there, but still big play for UCLA as they are once again in Ohio State territory, looking to score here, hoping for a touchdown, and get their first one of the game. Last play before the 2-minute warning, Travion Hampton will drop back to pass. He's looking deep, but Ohio State brought a blitz, and Travion Hampton is sacked by Jake Keene for a loss of 9 yards. So right after the big play for UCLA, Ohio State's defense comes up with a big play of their own, sacking Travion Hampton for a loss of 9, moving them back to the 44-yard line, which I think moves them out of field goal range. I'm not sure this kicker's range, but it can't be that good. On 2nd and 19, after the 2-minute warning off to Davidson, he picks up 7 yards here, making it 3rd and 12, so not quite back to the original line of scrimmage. On 3rd and 10, 3rd and 12, Travion Hampton will drop back to pass, looking for McGowan. who just, but that ball is dropped after a big hit on McGowan by the line. That'll bring up 4th and 12 from the Ohio State 37-yard line, forcing a Chris Culpepper punt. Chris Culpepper lines up to punt this ball away. He kicks it way out of the end zone. There's a penalty flag on UCLA, holding, I presume on the snap, but that penalty is declined by Ohio State, and they will take over instead at their own 20-yard line, since that holding would not do much for them. 1st and 10 from their own 20-yard line, about 1:40 to go in the. Not likely that we get a score here, but you never know. Landon Miller will drop back to pass. He's looking deep for Raheem Swanson, and that's knocked away. 2nd and 10. Landon Miller will hand the ball off to Goddard Smith. Ohio State, not sure what they're doing here because UCLA was all over it. France is around the backfield looking for some space, but he ultimately loses 4 yards here, bringing up 3rd and 14 from their own 16-yard line. UCLA will call timeout to preserve some clock here. On 3rd and 14 from their own 16, big play for the UCLA defense here to potentially get some good field position. Landon Miller to pass, and he's looking for his big guy, Raheem Swanson, and Swanson makes the grab, makes a man miss, stiff arms a defensive back down to the ground, and reaches over. He didn't need to reach, but he reaches over for the first down as he picks up 18 yards here on 3rd and 14. A big play here, and Ohio State escapes what could have potentially been a great defensive stop for UCLA, and instead will have the ball here at their own 34-yard line with a left. 1st and 10 from the 34-yard line. Landon Miller looking to pass once again, but this time he is brought down by Anders Jenkins for the Bruins for a 5-yard sack, and UCLA will use their last timeout. Not a great play if you're trying to score here, and that'll bring up 2nd and 15 from their own 29. On 2nd and 15, Landon Miller drops back to pass, looking for Larry Davis, but that is incomplete. 3rd and 15 from their own 29. They'll need another big play here if they want to convert, but Landon Miller looks for Ryan Williams, and it is incomplete. That'll bring up 4th and 15. Steve Buford punts this one away, not as good as his last one, only goes about 41 yards. My fair catch, and UCLA will have the ball at their own 30-yard line with about a minute left, but no timeouts. So if they're going to do anything, it needs to be fast. And 1st and 10, Travion Hampton looking to take a deep shot to Donovan Davidson, but it is incomplete as he's unable to haul it in with the tight coverage downfield. They will just hand the ball off to Leota after missing on the first play, and it seems like they are giving up, trying to score here in the first half. Leota picks up 4, bringing up 3rd and 6. On 3rd and 6, Travion Hampton drops back to pass, looks for Tony Smith on a quick little screen pass. Smith picks up nothing. He gets back to the line of scrimmage. But the Buckeyes and the Bruins both let the clock run out. And that'll be the end of the first half. Your score is, I believe, 13-6 here. Ohio State leads. Fairly weak offensive game or strong defensive game, however you want to look at it. But a rough game so far for Travion Hampton. He had that one big play, but otherwise he's been under pressure all game long and has really struggled to get into a rhythm. And honestly, Landon Miller, he's had a few big plays. He had that one nice drive to put together the touchdown. But outside of that, it's been a very tough, physical game. And we'll see what comes in the second half. But whichever team breaks first will likely come out on, because to this point, really neither of them they've bended for sure, and UCLA did give up that touchdown, but neither of them have really broken. Oh, all right. Take a drink of water. Okay. All right, coming out of halftime. After UCLA deferred the first half kickoff, they will receive the ball here, and Vincent Rollins to boot it away for the Buckeyes. He kicks this one out to the 3-yard line, and Myers-Jeanty will return for a fair catch. And that proves to not be a great call, as Ohio State's kick coverage is all over Jeanty, and he only gets out to the 17-yard line after a poor 14-yard return. I'm sure Coach Amick is upset at his return man for that one. 1st and 10 from their own 17, though. Hudson will take this one himself for about 2 yards, bringing up 2nd and 8. And on 2nd and 8, Kurt Johnson will jump early for the Bruins. Called for a false start here, moving them back an extra 5 yards. However, on the play, it looks like it might have been a non-contact injury. I'm not sure. Lineman Will Norris for the Buckeyes went down with an injury. Unfortunate news for the Buckeyes there, but their defense has been swarming the ball all game. So we'll hope that won't affect them too much. Sorry. 2nd and 13 from their own 14-yard line after the penalty. They'll give it to Leota, who picks up 2 yards. Bringing up 3rd and 11. And on 3rd and 11, they will do the patented ZenGM halfback draw, giving it to Donovan Davidson, kind of punting on this drive, both literally and figuratively. And he picks up 2, bringing up 4th and 9, and they will be forced to punt the ball away. On the initial punt, Chris Culpepper boots this one deep. However, there is a false start on Billy Allen, moving UCLA back even further to their own 13-yard line. And the second punt from Chris Culpepper is not good. He boots this one for about 34 yards. Not even territory. And Jared Wiggs will call fair catch, but that does mean that the Buckeyes will have the ball in UCLA territory for their first possession of the second half. Landon Miller will drop back to pass on 1st and 10, completing it to Ryan Williams, who makes a move on the outside, stripped out of Ryan Williams' hands, and Dylan Camp jumps on it. And despite the poor punt from UCLA, they are able to force a turnover here and take over at their own 48-yard line. So that is how you avert a scoring threat from the Buckeyes. Timely defensive play here by the Bruins, and now they have great field position to start their next drive. Not how you want to open the half of your Ohio State, though, that's for sure. On 1st and 10, after the turnover, Travion Hampton will look to Cole Cameron on a quick little out route, but that is knocked away by the defensive back. 10, Hampton will look to KJ Snyder, this time out of the backfield. He picks up 5 yards before being brought down, and that'll bring up 3rd and 5. They have moved into Ohio State territory. Travion Hampton will hand the ball off here on 3rd and 5 to Christopher Leota, and he is stuffed by Ohio State in the backfield. Not a play call there by the Bruins. And that'll bring up 4th and 6, and I don't know if you want Chris Culpepper out there after his last punt, but, you know, they have to. He comes out and boots this one away. Not much better than the last one for about 36 yards, but is not going to be that terrible, as this is at the Ohio State 40-yard line, so it's actually preferable for a shorter punt here. But Jared Wiggs does return it about 12 yards out to the 24-yard line, bringing up 1st and 10 for the Buckeyes. 1st and 10, and they will look to Larry Davis, and he makes a man miss on the completion and picks up about 19 yards here. So Ohio State with a great start to their drive after their last drive did not start so great. They're down to their 43-yard line. 1st and 10. They look to Larry Davis once again, and that is incomplete on 1st and 10. And on 2nd and 10, Landon Miller will look for his running back, Goddard Smith, on a little screen pass. And Smith picks up the first down and runs out of bounds after a pickup of 11. So, just like that, Ohio State is back in UCLA territory, right where they started the half, honestly. 1st and 10 from the UCLA will drop back to pass, but this time he's met with immediate pressure, and he tries to escape, but Connor Creighton for the Bruins eventually drags him down back in their own territory for a loss of 10 yards here on 1st and 10, bringing up 2nd and 20. And on 2nd and 20, Landon Miller will look to get it all back here. Johnson, the wide receiver, but it is incomplete. And that'll bring up 3rd and very long here. Landon Miller will look for Bobby Robinson again, this time on a little quick screen. on the Bobby Robinson is quickly brought down for only a pickup of 5, bringing up 4th and 15, and that'll bring out Steve Buford, the punter. Buford delivers a beautiful punt, looking to down UCLA inside their own 5-yard line. Gene T picks it up at the 4-yard line, and he finds some space here, and he's able to make a couple guys miss and pick up about 28 yards here on the kick punt return, turning what would have been terrible field position into good field position here for the Bruins. On 1st and 10, Travion Hampton will take this one himself for about 3 yards. On 2nd and 7, Travion Hampton will drop back to pass, looking for Jordan McGowan once again, but the route is jumped by Ty Lawson, and he picks, and UCLA has once again turned it over in their own territory, meaning Ohio State will once again have fantastic field position after a 9-yard return on the interception, and they will have the ball on UCLA's 29-yard line. 1st and 10 from the 29-yard line. Landon Miller will look to throw here on 1st down, and he's looking deep. Plenty of time here in the pocket. UCLA only rushes 3 guys. Landon Miller will take off here. Landon Miller has some space. The linebackers all vacated their zones to cover. And Landon Miller has space right up the middle to go 29 yards and a touchdown. On 1st and 10, however, there is a penalty flag on the field, and they will come out and they will say it was an illegal formation on Ohio State. Looks like there were too many men in the back snap, and what was a 29-yard touchdown by Landon Miller will be reversed, meaning it is still 13-6 on, but this time is 34-yard line instead of 29. 1st and 15 from the 34, and Marcel Moltz jumps off sides for the Buckeyes, and that's another 5 yards back for them, and that'll make it 1st and 20. On 1st and 20, Landon Miller will drop back to pass. He throws it this time, but it's incomplete, and that'll bring up 2nd and 20 from the 39. On 2nd and 20, Smith will hand it off to Goddard Smith. Goddard Smith is met in the backfield, trying to break this one outside. And on the tackle, corner Dylan Camp was injured for the Bruins, which is not what you want to see here in a tight defensive battle. You do not want, preferably anyone, but even a starter or someone who plays a lot to go down like that. And we hope Dylan Camp is okay, but it looks like he might be out for the rest of this game. On 3rd and 19, they will once again go to the run, the Buckeyes will, and they hand it to Goddard Smith, who picks up 8 yards. Not quite back to the original line of scrimmage, and they will settle for a 47-yard field, making the score 6-16, with about 6:46 to go in the 3rd quarter. Rollins kicks it off back into the back of the end zone for a touchback, where UCLA will take over at their own 25. They start the drive after the Hampton interception with a handoff to Donovan Davidson. Finds some room here, picks up 6 yards. Bring up 2nd and 4, and on 2nd and 4, they will hand the ball off again to Davidson, picking up 3 yards this time. And before the snap on 3rd and 1, coach doesn't like what he sees and calls a timeout before they can get the snap off, especially when you're trailing here in the national championship. Wasting timeouts like that, don't want to do that unless it's absolutely necessary. He must have seen one of his guys lining up improperly, trying to avoid like the last possession we saw. So on 3rd and 1 from their own 34-yard line, they will drop back to pass this time, and instead of taking off and running with it, Hampton will dump it down to Donovan Davidson, but it is knocked away by the defensive end, who is bearing down on Hampton, and that'll bring up 4th and 1. Culpepper out there once again to punt the ball away, and just like his last 2, does not look good. It is a 35-yard punt from Culpepper, and Wiggs will return this one for about 20 yards, giving Ohio State starting field position at their own 50 or at their own 49-yard line. So if there's been any X factor here, I suppose, for Ohio State, it's been Chris Culpepper. He's not had a good day. 1st and 10 from their own 49-yard line. Landon Miller with the toss out to Larry Davis. setting up his blockers downfield. Larry Davis gets past the linebackers, gets a block from his wide receiver. Larry Davis is rushing down the sideline. Larry Davis is gone! That will be a 51-yard touchdown run by Larry Davis, and Ohio State has broken this game open. They will go for two and fail, but a 51-yard touchdown run by Larry Davis will put the Buckeyes up 22-6 here. And with how good their defense has been today, I don't know if UCLA back from that. There's still plenty of time. There's still 20 minutes of game time left, but it has not looked great. The Bruins will need to show us something here on this drive if they want to have a chance of coming back in this one. Rollins will kick it off to the 3-yard line where Jeanty will return it for 22 yards. Will bring them right about to the 25-yard line. Hampton will drop back to pass once again, this time looking for his wide receiver Donovan Davidson, but it is intercepted by Derek Sales for the Buckeyes. That's the defensive lineman. It was knocked into the air at the line of scrimmage, comes down with it and falls to the ground. But another turnover here for the Bruins, and it's just anything that could go wrong for UCLA right now is going wrong. And Ohio State once again will take over in UCLA territory at the UCLA 32-yard line with 5:32 to go here in the third quarter. First play of the drive, Landon Miller will complete a pass to Raheem Swanson for about 8 yards down to the 24. And on 2nd and 2, Landon Miller will this time hand the ball off to Larry Davis. And Larry Davis, on the quick little sweep route, will pick up 2 yards, just enough for the first down. On 1st and 10, Landon Miller will drop back to pass again. But this time he is brought down by Trey Bennett, the defensive lineman, for a 2-yard sack, bringing up 2nd and 12 from the 24-yard line. Miller will drop back to pass again, looking for Bobby Robinson, but it's incomplete. And looks to pass to Larry Davis, but this time it is also incomplete. Bringing up 4th and 12 from the 24, and the Buckeyes once again will settle for a field goal. And this 41-yarder from Vincent Rollins is up, and it is good, making the score 25-6 with about 3:22 to go. And same thing, UCLA needs to show us something here, or they might be cooked, unfortunately. Rollins kicks this one off to the 7-yard line. GT will return it out to about the 20-yard line. And immediately UCLA with a design because Travion Hampton cannot be trusted to throw the ball right now. But he loses a yard, and that'll bring up 2nd and 11. On 2nd and 11, hoping to get him going somehow, the outside screen for Tony Smith, and Tony Smith makes the catch and makes a couple guys miss, picking down and then some as he gets 21 yards down to the 40-yard line. A much-needed play for the UCLA offense there, but still, we worry about Travion Hampton here and his performance thus far. But it looks like he might be starting to figure it out. We'll see. 1st and 10 from their own 40-yard line. He will look to Tony Smith again. It is incomplete. On 2nd and 10, Travion Hampton looks to Tony Smith again, this time on a deep little curl route, and Tony Smith hauls it in past the sticks for the first down. And UCLA is in Ohio State territory at their 47-yard line. 1st and 10, they will hand it off to Christopher Leota, maybe a yard before he is brought down. Just suffocating rush defense here from the Ohio State defense. Lost where I was for a second. On 2nd and 9 from the 46, Travion Hampton back to pass again. Look at again, but Ohio State has keyed in on Tony Smith, and that is knocked away and incomplete. 3rd and 9. 3rd and 9, Travion Hampton will drop back to pass once again, and guess who? They look for Tony Smith, and guess what? It's incomplete once again, as Ohio State doubling him at this point. I'll bring up 4th and 9 on what was a promising drive for the Bruins. Fizzles out harmlessly, and they will be forced to punt the ball away. Culpepper this time with a booming 54-yard punt. However, it rolls into the end zone for a touchback, and the Buckeyes around 20. After the punt, Landon Miller will look to pass here on first down. He finds Goddard Smith out of the backfield, who dodges the defender, but eventually runs out of bounds just short of, for a pickup of 9 yards, bringing up 2nd and 1. And the last play of the third quarter, they will hand the ball off, who will not pick up the first down on the little sweep. Instead, he gets nothing. And first play of the fourth quarter will be 3rd and 1. And on that play, they will hand the ball off to Goddard Smith, who just gets enough for the first down as he's pushed over the line by back Landon Miller, and he picks up just enough down to the 30-yard line. On 1st and 10 from the 30, they will hand the ball off to Goddard Smith. But this time, Goddard Smith has a little space here on the edge, and he scampers for about 13 yards down to the Ohio State 43. So a promising drive here for the Buckeyes, and nothing else. 1st and 10 from the 43-yard line, Landon Miller will look for Larry Davis. That is incomplete. On 2nd and 10, Landon Miller looking again for Larry Davis, but he is not able to get it off as he is sacked almost immediately by Tyler Barnes on the rush, and he will lose 2 yards. Not much, but still negative play here on 2nd and 10. You don't like that. And on 3rd and 12 from their own 41, he will look to his top guy, Rakeem Swanson, but that is incomplete. Those two have not been able to get into a rhythm in this game at all. And that will force an Ohio State. Steve Buford with a beautiful 55-yard punt. Myers Ginty returns the ball from his own 4-yard line once again, but once again proving to be a serviceable return man for the Bruins as he picks up 22 yards, setting up the Bruins at the 26. So better than the 4-yard line, that's for sure. On 1st and 10, Travion Hampton will find Donovan Davidson on a quick throw over the middle. He picks up 6. However, after the play, it looks like Cole Cameron for the Bruins punched the defensive back for Ohio State. I don't know what happened there, but boy, tempers are flaring here in the national championship game, and understandable for UCLA, as they're not been able to do anything. But that is a costly penalty here by Cole Cameron, as that will move them back 15 yards, and Cole Cameron will have to be taken out of the game. It's not what you want to do if you are a Bruin at this point. You need any break you can get, and that might honestly break the back on this UCLA offense. But we'll see. So on 2nd and 19, after the unsportsmanlike conduct, they will hand it off to Donovan Davidson, hoping to get some of that yardage back. But he only picks up 6, bringing up 3rd and 13 from their own 23. Hampton looks to Jordan McGowan past the sticks, but that is dropped by McGowan, and he is unable to see that one in, and UCLA will be forced to punt the ball away. His best punt in a while for Chris Culpepper as he boots this one about 48 yards, and Jared Wiggs will call a fair catch at the 29-yard line, setting up the Buckeyes with decent field position here. Landon Miller will look to pass here on 1st and 10, setting up a little tunnel screen here for Rakeem Swanson, but he's unable to get anything going. He makes the grab, but he doesn't pick up anything after the catch, and that'll bring up 2nd and 10. On 2nd and 10, it is a designed QB draw for Landon Miller. This time, he, once again, is unable to get much here. He's able to get a yard, but not breaking free in the running game really at all, except 51-yard touchdown earlier in this game. On 3rd and 9, they will hand it off to Goddard 2. That's not 9 yards. So the Buckeyes will be forced to punt the ball away. Buford boosts this one for 50 yards, consistently been much better than Chris Culpepper on the other side, in ultimately what has become a game of many punts. GT will return this one about 19 yards from the 18, setting up UCLA with great field position here at their own 37-yard line. 1st and 10, Travion Hampton will drop back to pass, and he's looking for Cole Cameron, who found his way back in the game after the unsportsmanlike conduct. That is incomplete. However, there is a flag on the pass as Isaka Hepu James, the corner for Ohio State, seemed to be grabbing him at the line of scrimmage, and the ref saw it, and that will be a 5-yard holding penalty, automatic first down for the Bruins, and that moves them 5 yards up to the 42. First and 10 from the 42-yard line. Hampton drops back to pass, looking for Jordan McGowan this time, once again over the middle. And McGowan, once again, when he makes the catch, he does great things with it. He makes a few defenders miss, and he's able to pick up 19 yards down to the Ohio State 39-yard line. A big play here for the Bruins, looking to get anything going here, and even a field goal would do wonders for their morale at this point. But there's only 9 minutes left in the game, so we'll see how that would go for them. First and 10 from the 39-yard line. Hampton will hand it off to Davidson, who picks up 5 down to the 34. On 2nd and 5, they will look to McGowan again. Like we said, he has to make the catch to do anything with it, and he does not make this catch. And that'll bring up 3rd and 5. And on 3rd and 5, Hampton once again looking to Cole Cameron, who may be rightfully frustrated, drops this one. He was wide open. And just lets that ball hit the ground, and that'll bring up 4th and 5. The Bruins will end up going for it here, trying to get any semblance of momentum going. Travion Hampton will drop back to pass, looking for Tony Smith over the middle, but it is incomplete, knocked down by a linebacker, and Ohio State will take over on downs here at their own 34-yard line. And you have to think that might have been the straw that broke the camel's back. That might be it here for the Bruins. Ohio State will run the ball here. Goddard Smith carries the ball twice for 0 yards combined. Second run, offensive lineman Noah Coleman was injured for the Buckeyes, but at this point, I think if you're a Buckeyes fan, you should be prepping those celebrations and getting that, not champagne, but that sparkling cider ready in the locker room. On 3rd and 10, hand the ball off to Goddard Smith once again as he picks up 10 yards. Picking up the first down on a run play, you have to feel bad about that if you're UCLA. I mean, what else are they going to do at this point? And that is a first down for Ohio State at the 44. They do opt to throw the ball here, looking for Ryan Williams, and proves to be a bad decision as that stops the clock as it falls incomplete. But they get back to their senses and hand the ball off on 2nd and 10 to Ryan Williams, believe it or not, on a little sweep play. He picks up 3 yards before down, bring up 3rd and 7, and on 3rd and 7 they do a little pop pass this time for a pickup of about 4 yards. Not quite a first down, but they did their job. They wasted time, and they actually call timeout here to waste as much time as possible for punt back to the. Sorry, no, they did not punt the ball back. The Ohio State offense is staying on the field. Looks like they were going to punt, but then Coach Rich called timeout, holding the knife up to Coach Amick's throat here, trying to take this game by force. And Landon Miller will hand the ball off to Goddard Smith, and he gets just enough here for the first down. On 4th and 3, UCLA, they're done. They that was definitely it, if nothing else. Ohio State now has a chance to waste even more time. On 1st and 10, they hand it to Goddard Smith again. He picks up a yard, but they waste about 40 seconds off the clock. On 2nd and 9, Landon Miller with another little quick pop pass here, and Ryan Williams breaks free, breaks past the defense, and picks up about 26 yards into the UCLA red zone as Ohio State looking to ice the cake here with some points, it seems, at the end of the 4th quarter. On 1st and 10, they will look to pass to Larry Smith. Apologize. But that ball is incomplete. However, Goddard Smith, the running back for the Buckeyes, was injured in pass protection there. You have to question whether or not Coach Rich actually cares about his players' health here, because that was a risky play. And his starting running back because of it. However, on 2nd and 10, they will drop back to pass again, looking for Raheem Swanson. That is incomplete, bringing up 3rd and 10. And on 3rd and 10, they will dump it down to Bobby Robbins for a pickup of about 4 yards down to the 15. And we'll settle for a field goal here right before the 2-minute warning. And that is good from Vincent Rollins, making the score 28-6 with about 2 minutes left in this game. Rollins will kick this one off to the 2-yard line. Ginty will return it for about 26 yards, down to the 28. On 1st and 10, Travion Hampton will drop back to pass, looking for Tony Smith. That ball is caught, a first down and a little bit more, and there is a penalty flag on the field for too many men on the field for Ohio State. So despite having 12 people on the field, they could not stop the pass play there. But at this point, who really cares? And that's and we will go into the 2-minute warning. UCLA has 46-yard line. Hampton will look to pass, and he is sacked for a loss of 4. 2nd and 14. On 2nd and 14, Hampton will look to pass again. He looks for Christopher Leota, and that is a pickup of 0 on the completion. On 3rd and 14 from their own yard line, Travion Hampton looks deep for his wide receiver, Tony Smith, but it's picked off by Joe Smith in what has been a night to forget, all things considered, for Travion Hampton. I believe that's his 4th turnover of this game. The Ohio State defense just absolutely the starting quarterback for the Bruins. And, I think that's it. With under 2 minutes to go here, there's no chance for UCLA. And Ohio State will, however, continue to throw the ball. I'm not sure what they're really doing here. Landon Miller will throw it to Swanson, incomplete. On 2nd and 10, he'll throw it to Larry Davis for a pickup of a yard. UCLA calls their second timeout. Landon Miller on 3rd and 9 will drop back to pass, and that ball is knocked up into the air and picked off by Arnold Reed, who gets the ball back for the Bruins. So moral victory, I guess, but not much here. He'll take over from the 47, hoping to get some kind of consolation here, but we'll see. On 1st and 10, Hampton will pass it to Donovan Davidson. He picks up 9. On 2nd and 1, he'll pass it to Tony Smith, who can't haul it in. But on 3rd and 1, they'll look to Tony Smith again, and he's able to get yards here on a nice little deep corner route. Picking up the first down to Ohio State's 19. I think that's the first time they've been in the red zone since the first half. If I said what I thought about UCLA's offense today, I would be kicked off the air. To put it simply. 1st and 10 from the 19-yard line. Tony Smith is the intended target. It is incomplete. On 2nd and 10, they look to Tony Smith again. It's incomplete. On 3rd and 10, Travion Hampton will drop back to pass, looking for Tony Smith in the end zone. Guess what? Intercepted in the end zone by Christian Woodson, and he will take it out to about the 7-yard line, where Landon Miller will drop back to pass on 1st and 10, completes it to Robert Maples, and that would be your last play of the game, as Ohio State comes out and thoroughly dominates UCLA. Travion Hampton completed 15 passes on 42 attempts with 4 interceptions. He was sacked 3 times, and he fumbled the ball once. Might be the worst quarterback performance I've ever seen in a national championship game. Ohio State made Travion Hampton look like a Conference USA quarterback. Or sorry, a Mountain West quarterback. 14.5 Q. The only offense that UCLA had was wide receiver Donovan Davidson and wide receiver Tony Smith, as they both had over 100 yards receiving and rushing, respectively. For Ohio State, Landon Miller honestly did not have that great of a game himself. 21 for 41, 1 pick, 4 sacks. But he did enough. And despite the strong defense from both teams, one team's defense was much stronger than the other. And Ohio State and Coach Rich are your national champions. Congratulations to Coach Rich on his first national championship. Well deserved. And to Coach Amick, I hope the best for you next year. Thank you all for coming out. It's been an honor and a pleasure doing this for you all. I hope you all had fun. It was kind of a boring game, but you know, that's all right. Of course.